my grandfather, lived in Savannah. He owned, some flower shops in Savannah for many years, and remember going.
Big flower guy, huh?
Oh, yeah. Huge, man.
Are you still into flowers or like plants and that sort of thing?
I hate flowers. I hate flowers. I'd have to go and clean them up every day after school. I'd have to go clean up.
Okay.
What's up, everybody? My name is Adam, and I'm the host of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, the show that is dedicated on bringing on passionate people, learning about their stories, and delivering value to entrepreneurs. So if that's what you're interested in, go ahead and follow, like, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying?
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, where you get to know a little bit more about people, passions, and all things business. Today, sitting across the way, I have Mr. Jeff Leggett of Pestmasters in Statesboro, Georgia. Welcome to the show.
Man, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Jeff, tell me a little bit about Pestmasters and what it is that you do.
Well, Pestmasters is actually a franchise, and we've actually started the franchise in 2006, or went into the franchise in 2006, and we're a full pest control company to where we do pest control, termite control, but we also do wildlife removal.
Okay.
We handle, which I try not to, snakes.
You're not a fan of snakes?
Not too much.
I don't like snakes either. I'll be very honest.
Anything with no legs and arms, I'm kind of wary of. So
you like frogs?
Frogs, I'm cool with.
Frogs, I'm not cool with either. I don't do frogs either.
So, spiders, I don't like spiders.
Yeah.
It's anything that doesn't have any legs or anything that has 8.
Yeah.
I'm done. So I've just never. But
So stepped into the franchise in 2006. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about the growth over this past period of time from 2006.
Yeah, I mean, we've basically started from nothing. Me and my partner, Brian Belinsky, we were in the industry prior to purchasing the franchise here, and we actually worked for a large company together. We started off with basically nothing.
Yeah.
We knocked on so many doors. My hands were just sore every day.
Yeah.
I mean, just going from town to town. I mean, just trying to kill it.
Yeah.
I mean, just doing it. Just doing the daily grind. Introducing ourselves, introducing our company, handing out business cards, pins, anything that we can, generate, a welcoming sense and to let people know that we service the area.
Yeah.
So, anybody in sales or service, they know that, probably door knocking is probably one of the hardest things to get used to as far as, trying to get out there.
Do you have any stories of did you get doors slammed in your face?
Oh, yeah. No, you do. I mean, you get, about one out of every, 75 doors that you go to, I mean, you're going to get a sale. So, that's 74 no's.
Oh, okay.
So you get one out of every 75 that you go to, and sometimes it's even higher depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get a lot of no's.
And do you do that for businesses or do you do that for
Both.
homes? Both.
And, the commercial side of the industry is more profitable than the residential side, but residential is a little bit more steady. Mm-hmm. More likely to be sustained. But we went to more residential than anything else. But that was the hardest thing starting off, man. I mean, we knew the industry inside and out. We knew how to talk to people. Knew what to do. But when you get 74 no's every day, somebody it's just hard. Yeah. It's hard mentally, So you're wondering if you made the right decision.
Wow.
And
how long of a period did that go for?
Every day that we had a chance. I mean, if we didn't have a job that day, we were out door knocking and networking.
Yeah.
And that probably went on for a good 3 years.
Wow.
And just we were. I hated door knocking. I hated it, man. I mean, I loved introducing myself, but when you're a stranger,
knocking
on somebody's door, not everybody's gonna, be happy to or welcome you. You know,
I think there's something immensely valuable for the audience here, right? 3 years of kind of like this. Can we call it a struggle?
Struggle, yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely.
Right? To get to where you are today, which is like immense growth, you had to spend so much time and go through so many no's. Did you change, at the end of that 3 years, did you change something to allow it to get better? Or what exactly happened to transition out of that?
We learned how to create business any way that we could to where we didn't have to door knock.
Okay.
Because at that time it was my partner and I, and that was it. We had one staff that was working in the office. So we did everything that we could to where we didn't have to door knock.
Yeah.
So that was selling jobs.
Got you.
So we were just trying to do anything and everything to create work to where we didn't have to door knock.
Yeah.
Because when you create, once you find that, have that job that you can do for that day, it's a lot easier to network within that job where you're at, whether it be referrals or, if it's a place of business, the employees that are there, to be able to create new business from there. Because you already, created that trust.
That's right.
You don't have to really fight for that trust anymore.
That's right.
So we found new ways to network and generate, new business other than door knocking. And then too, we didn't do a lot of advertising, and we still really don't. We do all word of mouth.
Yeah, which is the best, honestly. Like if you get a referral from a friend, it means so much more, right?
It does.
Like if you say, "Hey, who do you use for pest control?" and you say, "Hey, I use Jeff."
I mean, it's the hardest thing in the service industry. When you're speaking of sales, it's not selling a job. It's first gaining the trust of the customer, because before that, they're just shut off.
Sure.
It's hard to break that barrier before you gain that trust.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean it's.
And I think in this day and age, you're hit with so many advertisements at any given time. Everybody wants to sell, and they can smell it from a mile away, right? But that word of mouth is so valuable because it brings the reputation, your reputation, everything into the picture.
Right.
So extremely valuable. Great strategy. I find your story extremely fascinating in all of this. One of the questions I have is, what kept you going during those first 3 years? Because obviously there was, that kind of like challenge. I hate door knocking, but I'm having to do it every single day. What kind of kept you going during that
inspiration?
Period of time? Yes.
My wife and 2 kids.
Yes.
Having to, my wife actually,
Was she supportive?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, golly, she's still my rock. She's been there.
Shout out Rock.
Yeah, I'm telling you, right? So, I mean, she's just, she's amazing. So, I mean, at that time when we purchased in 2006 the franchise, we were expecting our second child. We bought a new home, moved into the new home. Same month. This is all within the same month.
Okay.
Quit my job, started a new business.
Okay.
And so, I mean, 3 major things were going on at the time that we were opening up this business.
Yeah.
So, and she took off a year from work, and so those play a huge factor in making you get out there and get out of bed. And
no other choice.
You don't. And that determination is powerful.
Yeah. In here, I think a lot of times entrepreneurs, they're waiting for the right moment, the right time.
Oh yeah.
What it sounds like to me is that you just kind of just.
Well, let me tell you, and it was really amazing. It was hard to make that step, in any type of change. Starting your own business, doing anything is that first step is huge, hard, very hard. Listen, I spent probably 6 months praying about it before, and and basically told God that listen, I'm moving forward. You put up a red light, you put up a brick wall if you don't want me to do this.
Yeah.
But I'm going to move forward, because I know it's the right thing to do. From what you've been telling me. So you just give me the direction. And I mean, everything just was lining up.
Yeah.
So
tell me about that. So this is actually super fascinating because there's oftentimes like, in business or while we are on our entrepreneurial journey, there's things that just kind of like happen like, like a location just opened up.
Right.
Or hey, like I'm looking for a truck and all of a sudden the truck appears. Like, was that like that for you kind of like stepping into it?
Just kind of, a little bit of backstory on me and what kind of drove me to have my own business. My grandfather, lived in Savannah. He owned, some flower shops in Savannah for many years, and remember going.
Big flower guy, huh?
Oh yeah, huge, man.
Are you still into flowers or like plants and that sort of thing?
I hate flowers. I hate flowers. I'd have to go and clean them up every day after school. I'd have to go clean up and sweep.
Okay.
I'm like, man, I hate flowers. So, but he did great with it, and he taught me a lot. My grandfather is just like what a lot of people say, he's my hero. He's taught me a lot about entrepreneurship, the do's and don'ts, so he really drove me to owning my own business, whatever it was. Kind of happened into pest control and fell in love with it. But once I did.
What was the story there? So like I want to dig in. I want to find the backstory.
Yeah, it's great, man. I mean, it's great. They got out of high school.
Yeah.
Started going to college. Went to Georgia Southern. Was about 3 years in. My wife and I, at the time, were not married, but we married young. I was 22.
Wow.
She was 21 when we got married. And then a year later we had a child unexpectedly. So I ended up dropping out of school.
Okay.
She continued.
You didn't finish?
I did not finish.
Okay.
Went 3 years in and still, and didn't go back because I was working part-time at the time. And, and she was working full-time and going to school. And she stopped, with school and work, and I started working full time.
Yeah, to support.
Right. Okay. So and at the time I was working a part-time job and started working for a large company in Statesboro, a pest control company.
It was when you were part-time, you were already in pest control.
I was not in pest control at the time, but
what was that part-time job?
Lowe's.
Hey,
working at Lowe's, man. Working at Lowe's. I mean, I'd be in school all day, go into Lowe's at about 4:00 and work until 11. And it was just killing me coming back home and studying. Just normal college stuff.
Yeah. But then you found this full-time position,
right, at a pest control company.
Okay. And did they seek you out, or kind of like?
Yeah, they actually did.
Okay.
So I mean, it was cool. So I mean,
they poached you from Lowe's, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, it was it was actually my partner now. His father-in-law was on the business, and started working, man. And that's how I met my partner, and fell in love with the industry, man. Just saw so much of opportunity.
Yeah.
And I've always been a sort of a bug guy, interested in, the science behind it, the biology behind it. So it just really fell in love with it. But they going from there, one of the things my grandfather told me that I always remember him and I speaking about, he always told me, whatever you do, by the time you're 30, have your plan together. Mm. So my goal from that time, from as long as I can remember, is I want to have my own business by the time I'm 30.
Yeah.
That was just my goal. If you don't have a goal, where are you going?
Yeah. So and that was in your mind.
Right. All along. And so actually in March 2006, I was 29. April 2nd was my birthday.
Okay.
And March 2006, we opened the business, and it was just a few days before my 30th birthday.
Yeah.
So that, again, was my drive and my purpose of going through. But
Thank you, grandfather.
I mean, I'm telling you, man, my granddad was awesome.
Yeah.
Super, just wicked smart.
Yeah.
With, about business. I love to share his ideas.
How much time did you get to spend with him?
Oh my gosh, man! I mean,
all the time.
I mean, every afternoon from I grew up in Savannah, up until 80, 81, but about at that time he was retired, and we all moved to Statesboro, and but I just spent every afternoon after school with him, and it just learned so much. But when I was working at the corporate level of this company, actually before then, when we first started, I was a technician doing a commercial route, service in restaurants, such as yours, and doing that every day. And back in my mind, I always had that goal of wanting to move up, as anybody would, up on the ladder.
Yeah.
So I was always asking questions, always kind of wanting to be with those, certain people that want to succeed, instead of wanting to kind of slack off and all that. I mean, I just
maintaining the status quo.
Right. Just want to be there, whatever I needed to do, man. I mean, I was right there. And about 4 years in, I had an opportunity to get into management with the corporate company, and it was a little rough. I mean, because I spent every weekend for about a year in Atlanta. So I mean, I'd go up there
to train.
Yes.
Why did they have to train you up in Atlanta?
That was where it was in McDonough. So I mean,
that's the center.
Yeah, that was where the location was for the. I'd have to go there in Forest Park, and it would be every Friday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then drive home Sunday.
For a year?
For a year.
Why such a long one?
Man, they were just, it's an intense,
What were they teaching you?
I mean, everything about, budgeting. I mean, it was basically like going to school. I mean, it was different people would come in to train us throughout the company, and whether it be teaching how to deal with people. Yeah. They did a lot of, and it wasn't just us or just me. I mean, it was
other people
within the region that were going through the same program. Uh-huh. So they had, HR was in there teaching us about the do's and don'ts of HR. So it was interesting, and it was part of my strategy of my goal, to reach my goal. Yeah. I wanted to go through that. But one of the hardest things for me there too, which a lot of people called me an idiot for doing it. A lot of people don't realize as a technician, our technicians make a good amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, you can either make $40,000 a year, or you can make $100,000.
Wow. Depending on how hard you push yourself. Yeah.
Right. So, and I was, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, there was years that I was making, $75,000 a year.
That's great money.
Treating bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, but it was long nights, working hard, busting your tail, man, just getting out there, just doing your daily thing, man.
Yeah.
And transferring from that to management, huge pay decrease.
That's so fascinating to me.
Yeah, it was a very hard pill to swallow. When I got the opportunity to go into management, I had just bought a brand new truck. I mean, it was like my first truck that I had from, since high school. And it was my truck.
Yeah.
I've signed the papers, everything.
Love it.
I mean, it was my baby, And I probably had it for a year, probably not quite. And to take this position, breaking down our budget, my wife and I'd have to sell my truck.
Oh, wow.
And oh man, it was just, a guy's truck in the South, man. That's like their, that's like your right arm,
That's right. That's right.
So
So you sold your truck?
Sold my truck.
Oh, wow.
Sold my truck.
Talk about sacrifice.
Yeah, sold my truck. You know, we got rid of some other things. You know, we didn't have to sell the house, didn't or anything like that, but we did have to sit down and redesign our budget and sacrifice some things. And it was it was almost I was not getting very much money, you know, not as much as what I was creating before.
So why did you make that decision?
That was my green light saying, all right, this is my chance to gain as much knowledge as I can from this large company, you know,
see the
that's
internal
invaluable.
workings.
Yeah, I mean, it's priceless. So, you know, I wanted to have as much knowledge as I could before I made that step of, you know, going out on my own.
Yeah.
And there was several people within, you know, that were technicians, friends of mine, that were just like, man, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just in the back of my mind I'm like, I got this. Yeah. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, this is the line that we're walking. I'm going to reach my goal.
I think this is huge. You know, that even in my career, there was a time when I had to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's kind of, it's one of those things where the reasoning behind it was to then gain more knowledge.
Right.
And have kind of like a delayed gratification. No, I don't need the money right now because the money in the future will come.
Exactly.
And that is something that's really important. I think, in fact, that's something that's missing in a lot of kind of like the team members that, you know, that are coming on that I see, right? Like in employees at you know, the different restaurants, so forth and so on. And I think that's something important to look at is like, you know, it's money is invaluable, right? You still have to have money. Money's important.
Sure.
But in the other hand, you have to look at, you know, to a certain extent, your expenditures, like what do you have going out the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, what are you learning? Are you learning anything? If they paid you, you know, a ton of money, but you're not growing, like individually you're not growing, in my opinion, it's not worth it.
Right.
It's not worth it.
Right. So, I mean, in my eyes, that pay decrease, it really wasn't a decrease. I was investing
in the future.
You know, right.
Yeah.
So it was invaluable. I mean, I learned so much.
Yeah.
That played a huge role in being able to make that step in March of 2006 of going out on my own.
Yeah.
That confidence.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, really that's what really helped me.
Yeah.
You know, I was bound and determined due to my grandfather, I was going to do it by the time before I turned 30 anyway.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, I just think when you fail, you're not failing, you're learning.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way I see it. I mean, we failed so many. I made so many wrong decisions. I made more wrong decisions in my entrepreneurship, you know, from 2006 to now. I mean, I've been more of a failure in my decisions than I've, you know, been, you know, made the right decision. Mm-hmm. I mean, but I see those as learning experiences and, you know, being able to grow. I mean, you know, how are you going to grow if you don't step out and try? I mean, try different things. You know, Holy Grail.
Yeah.
You know, Whiskey Grail.
Yeah.
You know, what if imagine you just having that still in your mind.
Yeah.
And not taking that step.
It's definitely a leap of faith.
It is.
Right? It's like, you know, hey, let me put it out into the market and see kind of like what the reaction is and adjust.
Right.
I was actually on a call with a large organization. They basically make music, like customized music. And I'm working with them with one of my organizations for production. And I think I was talking to, you know, the business development team, and they said something fascinating to me. They said, let's just go ahead and do it. We'll throw this out there. We'll figure it out. We're probably going to break a bunch of things along the way.
Yeah.
But let's do this first and then kind of like, you know, look back on it and then learn from it, right? And I think a lot of times entrepreneurs are afraid to do that first step.
How'd that make you feel? I mean, that when they told you,
I was like,
hey,
let's do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, let's go. It makes it easy, right? Like instead of like, oh, we have to plan. So I think there's a balance in here because caution is also important. You just can't be like wild and just like be throwing stuff at the wall. But, you know, taking those steps one step at a time and saying, hey, let's give this a try. Okay, what could we do better?
Right.
And looking back on it.
Right. Learn.
Yes.
I mean, you're constantly learning. How are you going to learn if you don't fail?
That's right.
I mean, it's just huge, man. I mean, so many people don't take that, you know, they don't take that step within, you know, whether it's, you know, just in your daily life, whether it's, you know, asking your girlfriend, you know, to marry her, you know, taking that leap, whether it's business, you know, just do it. You know, take it. You're going. I mean, if you fail, you fail. Get up. Right. You know, go back at it. Yeah. You know, that's the fun part about it. So,
take me. So we kind of have gone through the beginning stages of, you know, the story. At what point does it turn? And do you remember a moment where you were like, okay, this is starting to kind of like feel better?
Yeah, I mean it does get better. I mean there was, I mean, I can remember counting the amount of customers that we had. I remember getting to 20. Yeah. You know, and just being like, golly, thank you so much. You know, we've reached 20 customers. You know, and just counting it up and realizing that, you know, seeing the growth was just so cool. But do you ever get to a point to where you're comfortable? You know, do you really?
Love it.
You know, yeah, I mean, you get, you know, financially stable within your business to where you don't have to worry about too much. But do you ever get comfortable? Do you? I
Always
mean,
seeking more.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not constantly changing, you're behind already. So, and if you're not looking for what's going to make you change, you're already behind.
Man, that's a gem right there.
So, I don't think you're ever comfortable. If you are, you better be careful. Yeah. You know, because something's about to happen, and it ain't going to be good.
I love that.
So, it's just kind of it's kind of like having, you know, your guard up constantly. I mean, you have to. Yeah. This world is changing. I mean, I was in high school from 1990 to 94. You know, it seems like a long time ago, but I mean, there was not cell phones, cordless cell phones at the time. Yeah. You know, I think 94, we had these big, huge brick phones.
Did you have one?
No, I actually there was the company called Cellular One here in Statesboro. A buddy of mine, Keith, worked for him, and he installed, it was a truck phone. It was kind of like, you know, it was hooked through your truck.
Examine the hands.
Yeah. And it was huge.
It was the size of a small baby.
Yeah. I mean, it had a cord and everything, you know, and I thought I was the coolest kid. I mean, all the guys had them, you know, you were just like, even if we weren't talking to anybody, we were just riding down the road, you know, just chilling, just, you know. And it was just the coolest thing. But technology, I mean, from year to year. Yeah. You know, I mean, just look at your iPhones. I mean, they're coming out with different iPhones every year. Yeah. You know, and the technology behind that is changing. It's almost identical to business. I mean, whether or not you know, like Facebook advertising. You know, I was a big, you know, and still am, do a lot of Facebook advertising. Yeah. You know, but looking at Twitter, you know, Instagram, you know, looking at LinkedIn now, you know, LinkedIn is starting to really increase. And, you know, if I started this business in 2006, you know, when Facebook really wasn't, you know, around, and I just kept that thing in my mind. Wow, I don't need to do it. Yeah. You know, you're not changing. You're not. You've got to, you know, adapt to it. Yeah. I mean, it's uncomfortable for folks. You know, especially if you grew up when we didn't have computers. You know, and just you know, we were listening to cassette tapes. You know, I mean, I was man. Don't get me started on that. I did not want to let loose of my cassette tapes when CDs came out. Man. Yeah. I was like, I am not falling for that trap. Yeah. You know, I'm going to have my cassette tapes. but I folded, man.
You still got them?
Oh no, I don't have any.
You got rid of them?
I think I do have a couple of them. I think I have like oh golly, when did it come out? 94 Pearl Jam.
Okay.
Nirvana. I think I've got a few of those. Aerosmith.
Love that.
So but yeah, every now and again I'll pop it in and
give it a listen.
Yeah, teach my kids a little something. So but
talk to me about the growth that you've experienced, like, these past couple years for Pestmasters.
Which is cool, man. I say pest control is recession proof. I don't think any business is recession proof.
But there's always going to be bugs.
But there will be, and especially in Southeast Georgia, man. There's always bugs, man. And that's one of the things that I saw in this industry that I fell in love with was that comfort. I mean, of knowing that there's always going to be insects.
Sure.
But just the joy of meeting new folks.
Yeah.
I mean, how I met you, your dad. It's just a lot of fun to me. But I see growth. Within the last several years. I mean, we've serviced, not only Statesboro, but we service, Savannah, down to Townsend, Georgia.
Wow. How big is your team?
We have 14
wow.
Employees right now, but we stretch out all the way up to Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Beaufort. We just started, just got a large contract over in Columbia, South Carolina, which will be opening up a office over there. So we have an office over in Beaufort, South Carolina, Savannah, here in Statesboro, and then opening up one in Columbia, before the end of the year.
What would you say is the secret sauce?
Employees, man.
Yeah?
Employees, taking care of your employees. I mean, I may pay them a little too much, but I really try to take care of them.
Yeah.
And I say it's because I was in their shoes.
Sure.
At one time. I think about that, but investing into your employees is huge to me. And it's just, I think it's mainly because I was there.
Yeah.
And when I was there were some management that people want to be recognized. People want to be, heard and seen and just say, thank you, thank you every now and again. So I make a point to, if I'm speaking to, one of my guys on the phone, I just tell them, hey man, thanks, appreciate your help,
Huge.
all you do, and just every time, I mean, but I do, it's genuine.
Did you get that when you were?
And it's funny, because some management, no, didn't get it at all.
Yeah.
It's, why didn't you do more? But, there was a majority that were really good in management that I really still look up to.
Yeah.
And I call and talk to, to get advice from them still. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my team is great.
Yeah.
We have a really good team. And it's everything that we do. I mean, my office manager, Lexi, I texted her last night or right after work. I was just like, look, I appreciate what you do. Couldn't do it without you.
Yeah. She's great.
So.
Even though I think she's mad at me sometimes because I forget my appointments. So I apologize, Lexi, and just go ahead and throw it out on the podcast. My fault. Nah, she's great though. She takes care of me, regardless of if I do miss it or not. She's willing to, take that step and kind of like cover.
Yeah.
So your team is amazing.
Thank you.
Every single one of them that I've interacted with, there's a sense of professionalism, and I think it stems from really like the way that you lead them, right? Like I think that everything comes back to an entrepreneur is a leader of sorts, right?
Sure.
The only way that you're able to build an organization as large as the one that you have is by creating like leadership not only within your employees but also within yourself.
Yeah,
right?
that's.
And so that is very visible, right? Because it flows down, right? The way that, your employees carry is a representation of the way
Sure.
that you carry yourself.
Right.
But it's absolutely amazing what you've been able to do. And I find it fascinating that even though we've been sitting here kind of like talking about Pestmasters, it hasn't been so much about the pests themselves, but much rather about like the business behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And you've done a phenomenal job. If there's a word of advice for entrepreneurs out there that you would kind of leave them with, what do you think it would be?
Have faith in yourself. I mean, especially if you're wanting or thinking about taking that step, have faith in yourself deep down, man. I mean, if it's never going to be easy. Nothing is, but you've got to take that leap. And once it becomes easy, again, you better watch out because something's going to happen. So, just have faith in yourself, man, and don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah. And do it by 30.
Yes. Yes.
Throw
Goals,
it back.
Man.
I'm
let me tell you, and it's funny you said that. I mean, because, man, every one of my guys know, that, I mean, I harp on this all the time. Goals. I mean, if you don't have goals, what are you doing? What are you doing every day?
Yeah.
Where do you want to be? I mean, I ask my guys all the time. I meet with them, twice a month. And one of the first things I say is, where do you want to be next month?
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, financially, everything.
Yeah.
And I want to, they know that I'll do whatever I need to do to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
So I kind of leave it up to them. So, but, always have goals.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Jeff, thank you for being a part of our community.
Adam,
thank you for the services that you provide. I appreciate you greatly. And that's the show.
Thank you.